If you are recently been diagnosed with Bell's palsy, but you don't know what exactly is Bell's palsy, then this video is definitely for you. Hi, I'm Physio Meghna Dave, and in this video, I'm going to explain you in a very simple way what is Bell's palsy. Let's get started. Friends, Bell's palsy is a condition where your seventh cranial nerve gets inflamed, due to which one side of your face gets paralyzed. Now there is few things which is very unique about the seventh cranial nerve. Number one unique thing, it's a cranial nerve. What do you mean by cranial nerve? A nerve which starts from brain. Unlike other nerves that starts from spinal cord, the nerves that starts from brain are directly controlled by the brain. It's very simple, right? But another unique thing about this facial nerve is that it is controlled by two different brain areas. One half and the other half, these two different brain areas kind of sync with each other, makes a judgment whether to use the emotional side, whether to use the logical side, and then the direct signal that comes is determined based on the decision that the brain has made about which kind of facial movements needs to be done. For example, I can raise my eyebrows, at the same time my eyebrows will be raised automatically when I feel surprised. This is the most fascinating part about this facial nerve. But what's another unique thing about the facial nerve is the fact that and how it reaches to the face. So after leaving the brain at the brainstem level, it passes from the ear. Now when it passes from the ear, there is this small canal from which this nerve has to pass. Usually whenever there is an inflammation due to an infection, a viral infection, or some pre-existing viral overload like older chickenpox, mumps, measles, when these virus gets reactivated, there will be inflammation that will happen on this nerve. And when that inflammation will happen, the nerve will get swollen. The area surrounding it will get swollen. But since the canal is so small, there will be no space for this nerve to move around. That's why there is something called as conduction block that will happen, which means that there will be a disconnect between the brain and the nerve that is reaching on the facial muscle, because somewhere in midway that tube or is that wire that was taking all the information from the brain to the face has been blocked. This particularly turns out as facial paralysis, where due to the disconnect, everything on this side of the face gets frozen. Now what gets frozen when you suffer from Bell's palsy? Well, the mimetic muscles of your face, which are the muscles of your facial expressions, are the ones that are controlled by facial nerve, and that's why they get paralyzed. For example, the muscle which is responsible for your eyebrow raise, muscle that is responsible for your frown, the muscle that is responsible for your blink, the muscle that's responsible for your smile, the muscle that's responsible for your disgust, the muscle that's responsible for your pucker, the muscle that's responsible for your sad expression, muscle that's responsible of a scared expression, like this. All of these muscles will be paralyzed. Along with that, you will lose taste sensation in the front tip of your tongue. You will be more sensitive to the sound. You might have this tinnitus, some background sound happening inside the ear, sometimes, not always. You might also feel dizzy or losing balance. At the same time, your saliva and lacrimation, which is the tears, are also controlled by the facial nerve. So these are the areas which will be affected, and you will see some disturbances in these areas. But the most affected ones are the facial muscles that gets impacted. Now, the inflammation that has happened on the facial nerve causes that blockage, due to which the facial muscle doesn't move. This happens because once the nerve passes from the ear and comes out from this front side, it branches in 5 branches like this, and each branch is responsible to send power to different face areas. The branches that are longer will take little longer to recover. Compared to the branches that are shorter, you will see faster recovery. Important focus has to be on working to reduce the inflammation level from the body. That's why if you are someone who is thinking that the facial exercises is going to cure my Bell's palsy, that's not true, my friend. Facial exercises are important, but they are not cure for Bell's palsy. The only step of cure that you need to take when you are suffering from Bell's palsy is visiting a doctor, get your Bell's palsy diagnosed, and take your medication on time. The first 72 hours are the most critical hours for Bell's palsy management. Here the medication plays a very important role because the sooner the medication goes, the inflammation will be reduced and the nerve will start coming back. That's the important and the most prioritized treatment for Bell's palsy. Definitely corticosteroid is the mainstay of medication, but there are some other supplements that usually doctor recommend to patients while suffering from Bell's palsy. When I talk about how long does it take for Bell's palsy to recover, the usual timeline, I have made a lot of videos past also explaining why you should consider 3 months of time for your Bell's palsy recovery. That's a little complex and animated video. If you want to watch it, I'll link it in the description and somewhere on the top. Please do watch it. It might be a bit technical, but if you think that you want to understand this condition well, then you should definitely watch that video. So you should wait for 3 months minimum for your nerve to come back, and majority of time, 95% of time, your nerve will come back. Now what happens is, for few people, if the inflammation is less, if the immunity is good, nerve will return faster. For few, if the inflammation stays for longer days because of recurrent infections, then it will take little longer than usual. Or else, if your immune system is really not working at the par, if you have got internal defense mechanism working against you, or else if you have got some pre-existing health condition like diabetes, in that case also you will observe that there will be a delay. But no matter what is the case, you should give 3 months of time for sure, without thinking, putting even a single thought, for your Bell's palsy to recover naturally. There are few people who will recover in 6 months also, there are few people who will recover in 1 year also, but recovery does happen. Yes, there is plateau, there is a slowness of recovery, and there might be some delays and some residuals that might stay back on the face only in certain cases. In that cases also, you should ensure that you still work towards it, because there is always a possibility of improvement. So that's what is Bell's palsy all about. Bell's palsy recovery is a very slow and consistent progressive recovery pathway. You start with a complete facial paralysis, your facial muscles not moving at all, eyes not closing at all, difficulty in blowing air, drooling from the mouth, initial symptoms that you will face. But as you will get better, you will observe that the movements will start coming back to normal. Yes, it is possible that after 3 months, even though your movements come back, you might feel some sort of facial weakness that's lingering around. But that's also normal and common, and I'll tell you why. Because there's a study that was done where they studied few people suffering from Bell's palsy and took their functional MRI on the day they developed Bell's palsy and after they recovered from Bell's palsy. And in both the MRIs, one thing was common, and that was whenever they were moving facial muscles, not only the affected side of the brain was firing, the non-affected side of the brain was also firing. Why this happens is because when you are suffering from Bell's palsy, your facial muscles are not moving. So you are getting a constant feedback at the brain level that there is something wrong. The muscles are not able to move the way they used to move before, due to which, as a compensation, the brain starts activating more, starts involving, and the judgment that's going there that something is wrong, just try to create that sense of confusion inside the brain. How much power to send, when not to send, and that disconnect causes this particular phenomena to happen. That's why it's very, very, very important that your facial exercise that you do are done in the right way. I see lots and lots of patients making this mistake of over contracting their facial muscles, over exercising their facial muscles, trying to blow balloons at the stage where they can't even pucker properly. That's not the right way of treatment. Please consider this, that this is a paralyzed phase. This requires tender approach. It requires a very structured approach of recovery. Then only you can recover in the right manner. This condition is little different And that's why it's important that you work with the physiotherapist who can understand this problem and guide you in the step-by-step manner in the right way. Now I'll tell you, if you remember, I told you that exercises are not the way to heal your Bell's palsy. Now I'll tell you then why you need exercises, why you need physiotherapy for Bell's palsy. See, there is the problem of nerve inflammation which is inside your ear, right? But what is the output of that? Your face muscles are not functioning the way they were functioning before, which means their positioning on the face has changed. They are no more lying in that resting position, they are drooping down. Now when that is happening, there is a constant phenomena of altered sense of this side of the face that's going on. That's the biggest change that will happen. The second change that happens is there is a disruption of facial muscle coordination. The face doesn't move as one, it starts acting differently. This creates some constant changes inside the brain. Third, there is an impact on muscle memory. If this condition is going to take longer time, you might lose muscle memory in terms of what was the right way of using these facial muscles. Last but not the least, you are at a very high risk of developing facial spasms and facial contractures. This can sometimes become painful and sometimes pull your face in wrong direction as you gradually recover. This is not to scare you but to keep you informed. That's why exercises, facial massages and a structured rehabilitation approach is the key when it comes to Bell's palsy recovery. Now, if you who want to get a very expert-led advice on your Bell's palsy, let me tell you, we have worked with thousands of Bell's palsy and synkinesis patients from the year 2017. Our program is structured in a way where we use body's natural mechanisms of your hands, your touch, your vision to train these facial muscles till you recover. We don't use any kind of electrical stimulation when we work on Bell's palsy. We have created a 3-month Bell's palsy recovery program, which is a coaching-led program where we give you a structured roadmap of facial practices that you should do on a daily basis to maintain the facial muscle health, to retrain the brain-face connection. This program is completely online and is self-paced, where you need to connect with us on frequent intervals just to make sure that you are on the right track. So if you are someone who wants to work towards your facial recovery in a very structured and logical manner, then feel free to reach out to us and get to know more about our 3-month Bell's palsy recovery protocol. On that note, I'll end this video here and see you in another video. Thank you.